Your consequences aren't working in your classroom for 5 reasons. In today's video, we're going to go over those 5 reasons, and my promise to you is that if you fix these 5 particular variables, then your consequences are going to start working as they should. They're going to start curbing misbehavior from even your most challenging students. Now, it's important to mention that this video isn't about the specific consequences. In other words, it's not about what consequences you should be using. We've covered a classroom management plan and examples of consequences in a previous video. We also have the elementary classroom management plan, the high school classroom management plan. Those e-guides are over at the website. If you're a middle school teacher, you'll choose one, but you have to go and look at both of them and decide which one is going to work for you. There's a transition period during middle school from the elementary plan to the high school plan that outlines all the consequences that we recommend. There is no magic to any consequence, however. It's all the other stuff. It's why there are 800 articles on the website. It's all the other stuff that makes the consequence really matter to students. And these are sort of the 5 key areas that you have to fix in order for them to work. So this isn't a video about how to enforce the consequence or how to be more consistent. Again, you can find those resources elsewhere. Okay, let's begin. So the first reason why your consequences may not be working is because your students dislike you. Over my career, I've heard over and over and over teachers say, well, it's not my job for students to like me. Maybe not, but it makes everything not only so much easier, but so much more effective. And if your students dislike you, then your consequences just won't matter. Your students will be angry at you and simmering and angry at you over the consequence rather than taking responsibility, meaning the consequence doesn't work. If the student isn't taking responsibility and owning their misbehavior, owning their part in disrupting the class, then it's not going to work. How to get students to like you is actually much simpler. It's something we've studied for decades. We have many articles on this topic. I'm also going to be doing a video just on this topic in the coming weeks, so stay tuned for that. But just knowing that your likability is critical to your consequences working goes a long way toward fixing it. Just being aware of that when you go into the school year is going to make things much better. Okay, next thing is that your class is boring, or your lessons are boring. Essentially, when we're saying class, we're really meaning your particular lessons you give your students are boring. This, again, falls under the same sort of category as students disliking you because they dislike coming to your classroom. Your students have to look forward to coming to your classroom. They have to enjoy being there for your consequences to matter. They have to say to themselves, if they're sitting in timeout, for example, I don't want to sit here. I don't want to be here. I want to be there. I want to be part of and a valued member of a class I enjoy being part of. And the primary way we do this isn't through like silliness and fun and crazy activities or anything like that. It's good, compelling lessons. This is another topic, again, just like the first one, that we're going to cover in future videos. So please stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe so you get notices when we come out with more videos. It's a topic we've covered in our books. We have 8 books about classroom management. The Happy Teacher Habits has an entire chapter on how to provide compelling lessons. But that's where the magic is to give really good, clean lessons. And again, it isn't about entertainment. It's about students. It's about you creating and making your objective, taking something complex, making it simple, and then allowing students to enjoy learning, proving their learning from it. It is an intrinsic love of class. We're not talking about extrinsic things like rewards and parties and all this kind of stuff. We're talking about the things that endure, that are lasting, that make a student, when they're sitting in timeout or when they get a phone call home, to really want to please you and to impress you through their work. This brings us to the next one, is that there is no flow experience. So flow is the feeling of losing track of time, being lost in and absorbed in the work so much that the outside world fades away. And this is what we want to get our students into, this flow state, when they're working independently and when they're working in groups. Anytime they come into our classroom, we want them to be absorbed in what we're doing. This is all part of creating great lessons, creating a classroom students love coming to. Again, these are things that we talk about. You can find hundreds of articles at Smart Classroom Management, but just know that the enjoyment, they have to enjoy coming. This is half the battle, is knowing that these three things are critical. And the way they get into this flow experience is by having really good, compelling lessons, extending their independent work time, letting them work independently without you over helping. This is something that we talked about in a previous video. You can check that out. But it's this flow state where the classroom is silent because you have excellent classroom management and you've taught something really cool and really interesting, and they have this desire to on their own experience what that's like through their work, experience their knowledge and their creativity through what you've taught them. Oh, and by the way, I want to mention, occasionally I'll get a comment like, this guy talks like he's never worked in a Title I school. Let me assure you, 30 years, only Title I schools. This is even more important. These things are even more effective. These are with students who appreciate your good teaching even more. Yes, it's possible. And this possibility is something we'll talk about again in the future. Next thing is that your classroom, this sneaks up on a lot of teachers, is your classroom is disorganized. It's cluttered, it's messy, and it is distracting for students. They can't focus, they can't concentrate. It gives students the EVGBs when they walk in the classroom. This alone will cause them not to like being there. It creates tension you can cut with a knife. I walk into a lot of classrooms and I can feel the tension just upon entering the classroom. These are not classrooms where the consequences are going to work or going to matter to students. The students are bouncing off the walls. The teacher is stressed out and nervous, and the environment is a cluttered mess. You have to keep things clean and sharp. Your environment must match the excellence that you're asking from your students. This idea of excellence, and when they walk in, the environment reflects excellence. You're calling for excellence. You're raising the bar. Students like this. When students are misbehaving and things aren't going well, teachers lower the standards. You should be raising them. This makes it worse. This makes it better. It means they want to be something, part of something special, bigger than themselves. We all have this on the inside, but you have to tap into it. And so your call must be for excellence, and the environment must also reflect that call for excellence. Next one is that there's lots of misbehavior. So if the environment is chaotic, your students won't care one lick about your consequences. So if you have poor classroom management skills in general, if, again, you're inconsistent, if you have poor routines, you're not holding students accountable for the things that you ask of them, the things that you say, you're not expecting great work for them, which in turn you're not going to get it. You're talking over students and there's a chaotic environment, then no way will individual consequences make any difference whatsoever. They're just not going to work. To sum all this up, your students, and I think having this in mind, especially going into the new school year, can be really helpful. If you put yourself in your students' shoes, and this is one of the ways that we created Smart Classroom Management, is we're constantly and week after week putting ourselves in the shoes of our students. What's it like being in the classroom, and what is it as a student that motivates me to work? And when it comes from the minds of adults solely, and it's sort of this top-down thing on top of students, this noise that does nothing, it just doesn't work. And so it's always from the perspective of a student. And the perspective must be, for consequences to work, the perspective must be, I want to be here. Whoops. I want to be here. Okay? Now, so this second, I want to be right here, right now. This, I can feel like I'm giving my best self. I can start feeling good about myself. Not this fake, based on fake false praise or any of this kind of thing, or based on grade inflation or anything like that, but based on the self-worth that students derive from doing things well, from excellence, from hard work. And another video coming. Again, we're trying to catch up to 800 articles on the website, but another video is coming, how to handle students who don't do any work, so we're going to cover that. But when this sort of thing is happening, when they're feeling a feeling of self-worth that they haven't felt in any other place in their life, when your classroom is a culture that makes sense compared to the culture outside that doesn't, and the students want to be there, and they will, then your consequences matter to students, and they matter a lot to students. Okay? So, I hope this helps. If it does, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't. Leave a comment below. I'd really appreciate it. Hope you're having a great week. I'll see you next time.